Welcome to Biztech Property Show, the show where we look at property markets globally and give you insights to help you manage your properties better, get better returns, and also help you to make better decisions about your future purchases. Today, we zoom in on the US property market and the impact of foreign buyers. Here to give us insights is our special guest today, Kashif Ansari, Juwai IQI Group co-founder and CEO. Welcome to the show, Kashif.
Thank you too. I'm really honored to be here again and from a different market perspective. Really honored. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Kashif. Now, could you start by kind of giving us an overview of the US property market?
Okay. So, good excitement, what we have seen after COVID, work from home, definitely it affects how the US market reacted, not so what we have seen, the trend happening in 2008 and during the time of subprime crisis, this time it was amazing. Definitely interest rate really helped home buyers to come in. We have seen so many first time home buyers also coming in. There was lots of incentive giving to them. Interest rate was down. And again, this is globally what happened, that people realize home, work from home. So everything time you're heading home. Those who never thought of even living in the cities like New York, they never thought of living it because things are quite expensive. But we have seen the trend have changed. They believe, yes, you need a home, you need a place. So that's why there was so much of transaction. So, and because of the demand, you have seen it's more than around 16%, the price have increased overall in US. And the amazing part for the realtor is like anything you put in the market, it won't stay more than 10 days. So there's so much demand locally and first time buyer. Everyone is trying to grab a home because the trend has changed. The new development an hour, 45 minutes away from the city. Earlier, people were thinking this too far, but now you're seeing they're going and then buying it. So that's what's happening in the US market. Amazing. And still now we are seeing the interest rate might be going higher. So it'll be stable.
So Kashif, then I want to zoom in on specific regions. Which specific regions have seen the strongest demand and price growth?
So, like the South, definitely you call the wet belt. So what we say, these are the areas which is quite warm. So the temperature is good. And this is the area in the South. Texas is amazing. Just to give you a little bit what happening in Texas, like the Houston is kind of a city where there is most of the population and the more excitement. But what we have seen in last 3-4 years, Austin has developed, like in Texas, Houston and Dallas. So Houston is mostly for the blue collar, big city, right? And the Dallas is always white collar, financial institution, tech companies, headquarters. So people, this is how they used to live. But Austin has rebranded itself a new generation city. This is what I'm saying. Why I'm saying the new gen city? Tesla is coming in Austin, all right? Samsung is putting a plant, the chip plant in Austin. So much development going on, and these companies are moving on. Apple have decided to set up a huge, more than $3 billion they're investing in the real estate. They are setting up their office in Austin. So these are all the future companies, future technologies. So imagine this is all moving to Austin, and which is Texas. And if you go and visit Austin, you'll be surprised. Like some of the areas are exactly like California. It's hilly. Like I was a bit surprised seeing it. Usually, Texas is flat, but Austin is a place where they have lakes. So quite interesting. So a lot of celebrities, they're moving to Austin. So that's what's happening in South. South used to be cool and calm, but now this is excitement happening. So South, definitely, as I say, the most gain is around 20% have gained. We have seen the trend going, investing in South. West is 8%, Midwest, little bit, 7%, and Northeast. So the trend has changed. People from New York and Chicago, they're moving down. They're going to South again.
Is that also, Kashif, driven by the fact that prices are a lot more affordable, and that was one of the reasons why the tech companies are moving from Silicon Valley, from California over to Austin, because housing affordability is on a completely different level.
Yes, because in Texas there is no state tax, so like for the income wise it's quite attractive, and lots of incentives has been giving. Again, I totally agree with you, Brian. the cost of living, and imagine a small house, 2-bedroom apartment in New York is $2 million. You can buy a mansion in Texas, a mansion, not in Austin. Austin price has gone up, but if you're talking about places near to Houston, you can buy $2 million a whole mansion. Again, it's all reflect. Work from home is going to stay. And you can see now when you're looking for a job, there is an option. There will be companies, they have decided to be work from home forever. So that's definite. So instead of living in New York in a small apartment for two-bedroom apartment for $2 million, why don't I move to South, have a whole mansion for $2 million? And like the life cost of living is cheaper compared to the North. So that's definitely, I agree, this is something which makes them more easier.
Now, Kashif, I'm going to come back to you specifically on specific real estate markets, but can I ask what sort of rental yields would you expect as an investor in various markets?
Quite attractive, like compared to Asia, US is still performing quite well. We have seen around 6% to 4% in US, which is quite high. And if you're able to get a good deal, like even in because the rental rate has gone up now, it's quite attractive. So good one. South is, as I say, Austin. You won't believe, Brian, it's difficult to get a rental apartment right now in Austin. So the landlord is asking their own price. So like 6-7% is a good, you can expect the real like that.
Okay, I want to zoom in then for a foreign buyer. What are the overall cost of transactions? What's the typical cost for buyers? What's the typical cost for sellers?
So it's quite attractive. The best thing what we have to understand, what we have seen in Asia is like sometimes the foreigners are not allowed to buy property, but US, it's quite open. Everyone is welcome. If you like some property, if you're willing to, you have money, you can buy. The total cost, it's, it's 8% to 10%, which is the transaction value. Agent commission, as we always say, it's a higher one, which is 6%. And that's where always you see buyers, especially coming from Asia, they negotiate, oh, how much we can do, but it's around 10%, 8 to 10%. So which is quite attractive. Again, the most attractive part, the system is helpful, friendly. So the documentation is in English, easy language, so the foreigner, when they move to compare to, we are a global investor and then we cater our client globally. So this is some kind of a struggle when foreigner, they go and buy property overseas. But US attract them, simple process, everyone is welcome. You don't have to say that, oh, you're allowed not. So that's what it is.
And what are the ongoing costs? Because from what I understand, state taxes and property taxes sometimes can take a big chunk annually.
Yes. So, as I say, it's income tax on the rental. There's no special foreign buyer tax like Singapore, where the people they come, they have to pay 15%. So there is an income tax on the rental earning if the rent is out. So again, it's something is there. Capital gain tax is there, price when you're selling your home, and annual property tax. So again, it differs from California to Texas. Texas is go on your valuation basis. California is quite fixed. So this is something, but if what we have seen, if you're more than 65, there is a discount, there is a reduce in the property tax as well. Again, US being the market where they are quite friendly and consumer friendly, I always say. So if you have a specific requirement, you can always go out and then claim that, any of the things I have done and can I get some rebates? So these are also things, again, very attractive.
Okay, so specifically, if I say some of the state property taxes, annual taxes,
yes.
What sort of figure are we looking at? Are we looking at 1% of property value or 2%, or what sort of number is that?
It will be around that level. So like 0.3 in Hawaii to 1.68% in New York City. So it's like around these numbers, not too much.
Okay, so if you get a substantial yield, then that negates that holding cost. Absolutely.
Exactly. It's quite attractive. It's not that much, as I say, it's just a feel that people, when they're coming to invest in US, they feel that, oh my God, the taxes are quite heavy. But as I said, it's quite attractive and it's manageable. Rental yield is good. So you won't, at the end of the day, you have a positive cash flow if you're investing in US.
Now, could you give us I want to zoom in a little bit because of our audience being in the Asia Pacific as a whole. How much do foreign buyers basically spend on US real estate every year?
The number we have for 2020, 2021 is around $54 billion has been spent by foreign buyer. And they bought more than 100,000 houses. That is 2.8% to 1.96 trillion of the dollar volume existing. Huge market. So that's very attractive. When we talk about 54 billion, but you see $1 trillion industry, that's America. And they have so much land, right? So
Yes.
so it's quite attractive. This is what happening in US.
So who are the biggest foreign buyers of US property?
Canadian, 8% of the total Canadian are the number one. Neighbors, they love US. It's like, like some of the Canadian, they have studied from US, so they have that link, like especially the cities like Seattle, they still love New York. As we discussed earlier, the New York is not that popular now when it comes to real estate investment, but Canadians are buying in there. They're investing quite heavily. Last year, I'll just share some number. Canada is 8%, which is around $4.2 billion they have invested. Second is Mexico, 7%. They love US. Again, they have family and friend, and these are the Mexicans who have families or the businesses in US, and they have culturally fit. So they are the number two. Number three is China. Chinese, they are quite heavily invested. They love California, Silicon Valley, and the high-end properties are almost bought by Chinese. They still love it. With crisis, whatever the relationships are, we have not seen much decline when Chinese investors are coming. India is the new, it's not the new one, I will say, but they are quite heavily gone up, 4%. They bought $3 billion of property last year. Quite attractive, and they're going for specific areas like New Jersey, again New York, but we have seen North Carolina and Boston. This is where the Indian investors are coming in. Last is the UK, United Kingdom, and some 4%. They invested around 2.3 billion.
So Kashif, what's interesting is in the top buyers, no Asia Pacific country features in that.
Yes.
Is that because of the distance, or is that the opportunity or the awareness of the market, or what is it a combination?
I think it's awareness. What we have seen, most Asia Pacific, they prefer to go maximum to UK or Australia. This is where we have seen they're investing a lot, but not that much in US. But Singaporean are quite active in US real estate market. So, but they usually come, we have seen some fund, it's including Temasek, they have invested in US real estate fund, but they're going more into commercial. Okay. That's what we have seen. But Singapore is the only one who's active.
So also the other thing is that the US foreigner real estate market also tends to be very region specific. For example, Miami attracts the Latino investment. Where else do you see different pockets like that?
It really helps them because, like it's like the family. Like if they're moving, they're buying property, definitely, like the South area is this more Latino speaking, and it helps them. It makes, like I remember when the Chinese investor coming to Malaysia, they feel comfortable because they speak their language, they feel more comfortable, they have their food. So that's why we have seen some kind of investment from Mexican or South America coming to this. But now what we have seen, it's like really last week it was quoted, like Texas being the more international city. They have more nationalities than any other state. The reason is that now that mix has been changed, you can see. And the Mexican investor, you see, they're going into Arizona. They are very much in other states as well, but this do have again interesting part. Like when San Francisco is mostly because it connects you when you take the flight from Korea. The first destination, the first city is San Francisco. Yeah. You'll find lots of Asian over there. All right. If you're coming from India, the first destination, the first airport you land is New York. So you'll find more people over there. When you meet people and I ask them, why you invested in New York? I met one of my Indian friend and he bought like a $5 million house. And I was just talking to them. He said, I landed, like our direct flight. We landed over here. I found my nice food. My friend was here. He was living here. So that's the reason I invested. So that's in a way, like you feel comfortable When you go out, home is the place where you want to feel, if I'm doing it for myself or for my home, how comfortable I am. So definitely, it kind of add on, right?
So Kashif, now for you to put your crystal ball as well as your analysis and experience to work here, when I ask you the next question, where are the opportunities for foreigners to purchase property in 2022 and 2023?
In US, I think, again, the wet belt. Texas is the place to invest. A lot of opportunities. Why? Because the future technologies are coming here. Tesla setting up a plant, like Tesla future, EV cars, chip plant, Samsung, $20 billion of investment. So Texas for sure. And then Arizona and these places, these are the lots of opportunities. This is where the growths are. These are where it is. New York, Chicago, love those destinations, love those places. But if you are an investor, I think about it and look into it. Florida, again, it's an interesting, as Brian, you rightly mentioned, some of the investment from South America, they do enter into Florida. So Florida is also kind of an interesting destination where people, you'll see this coming in.
So Kashif, the other thing is also a lot of investors in Southeast Asia may be interested, and they've been doing this in Australia in particular, to invest in small real estate development. So in other words, they partner with locals and develop plots of land. Is that opportunity also available in places like Austin today?
Exactly, yes, there is higher competition because compared to Australia, the development the developers are quite strong. They have deep pockets. What we do represent some of the high net worth investors from globally. But when it comes to US, compared, it's the kind of returns you're looking for, because the money accessibility is quite easy over here in US. So you don't find that attractive. So the investor who are doing the joint ventures in Australia, they have getting higher returns compared to US. So that's the shift of the mindset, like when we tell them, oh, I'm getting this in Australia or in Asia, but why not in US? Because I say the cost of borrowing is so cheap. The market is, they have no issues selling the properties, and the government infrastructure, the support is a lot. So, the Texas, especially why I'm saying Austin, the infrastructure, there's a new development going on. You won't believe the state helped them. They do get the whole highway connected to them. They are investing a huge amount of money. That kind of a support the government gives when it comes to infrastructure.
Kashif, it's been a fascinating conversation. Thank you very much for enlightening us on investment in the US. But any final thoughts you want to share with us before you leave?
Yeah, thank you, Brian. Thank you again. I think people have this fear that maybe the interest rates are going up, market will crumble. No, nothing is happening, because this is not what happened in 2008. I'm meeting and I keep on getting, oh, wow, the interest rate is going up. The prices will come down 30 to 40%. I don't see that, especially in Texas. Yes, maybe in Atlanta, Georgia. Why? Because I've seen 40% are investor. So there'll be some kind of a correction. But people in the South are mostly those people who really invested for their own home stay. Give an example again, why I keep on promoting Texas. If you have a house and you want to sell and you have a tenant, you won't get a bid. So that's where you see the trend. People are looking to move over here and they look into it. So correction, interest rates are going up. There'll be a little bit of stability. Maybe the prices, Brian, you won't believe I've seen prices double from 500,000 house in Texas in just 1 year for $1 million. That's how the prices have moved up. So people, they're saying, will it come down the same way? No. Maybe from 1 million to 850 to 900, not that much, but that's what we are looking for. So interesting time. It still is the time, good time to get into it, because everybody's rushing into it. Don't wait. This is just go into it.
Kashif, thank you very much for taking your time to be on the show.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you very much.
I'm Brian Fernandez, and we've been speaking to Kashif Ansari, Juwai IQI Group co-founder and CEO, on Biztech Property Show. This video and podcast will be on our website, www.biztech.asia, as well as our social media platforms. Please like and subscribe to our various platforms. Thanks again for tuning in.